It's a real milestone. You know, there are so many families that are dealing with problems related to mental illness, and I know some of you feel like privacy issues mean that you shouldn't even acknowledge that, but we need to remove the stigma. How many people here come from families or have loved ones that have suffered from mental illness? Could I see a show of hands? See there? You know, it's time that we remove the stigma and have parity in the treatment of mental illness and have health care for all Americans to get our people the care that they need and deserve. Kipper and I just celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary earlier this year. We have four children, one still in high school, one in college, one just graduated from college, and our oldest daughter just made us grandparents a few months ago for the first time. Very excited about that. My grandson was born on the 4th of July. He's a Democrat. How many other grandparents here in the room? Can I see a show of hands? Oh my goodness, this community is growing. Any great-grandparents here? Any great-great-grandparents here? You're not old enough to be a great-great-grandparent.
Yes, I am.
Now, excluding the great and great-great-grandchildren, does anybody here have as many as 15 grandchildren? 16? 17? 18? 19? 20? 21? 22? Can anybody be 22? 23? 23 grandchildren. Congratulations. Give me some advice before I leave here. I'm a rookie. What I've learned so far is that evidently the preferred technique is to just give that grandchild whatever he wants. And then if that causes any problems, give him back to his parents. We're going to be practicing that technique again over the holidays. And I want to say happy holidays to every family here. This is a wonderful season. Whatever your religious faith, we wish you the very best. Now, let me get right down to it.
Hi.
This is the time when we're going to make some choices about the direction we take in the future. I need your help to be your next president. I want to fight for you because the choices that we have coming up demand a fighter. I want to fight for you because we've got to keep this economy strong and growing. One of the issues in this campaign that's emerging now is who has the experience to keep our economy growing without making a big mistake that puts us back into deficits and recessions again. Whether it's a risky tax scheme or an ill-considered spending spree, we need to keep our budget on the right course. We need to invest in people, and we need to start preparing America for the 21st century. I believe that the way to keep our prosperity going is to make sure that we keep our budget balanced or better every year, and then within those priorities, let's invest in people by having universal health insurance and get there in a step-by-step way. Let's bring about revolutionary improvements in our public schools. Let's start treating teachers like the professionals that they are. And have smaller class sizes. And let's rebuild and modernize our school buildings. Let's recognize that these children deserve it. You know, whatever issue you look at, the Republicans are headed in the wrong direction. They're wanting to take us back to an older economic approach that ran the economy into the ditch before. They remind me a little bit of the gentleman who had a specific health problem that caused his wife to worry that he shouldn't be driving anymore, and she took the keys away from him, but he kept on wanting to drive. And one day he took the car and headed out toward the interstate highway, and she, worried, sat there by the radio. Finally, she called him on the car phone and said, honey, please be careful. I just heard a bulletin on the radio. Somebody's driving the wrong way on the interstate. And he said, there's not just one, there's hundreds of them out here. The Republicans don't get it. They're headed the wrong way. They're up there proposing a risky tax scheme that would completely take away the surplus, give $1 a week to working families and $1,000 a week to the wealthy families of the country. And you know, they say it's your money. It is our money. It's also our Social Security. It's our Medicare. It's our schools. It's our environment. It's our future. And we need to have an approach that builds a quality future for all of our people. On health care, they will not even support the patient's Bill of Rights. Here's what I believe. I believe that it's wrong to have these life or death medical decisions being made by bureaucrats working for HMOs and insurance companies. They ought to be made by doctors and nurses. Some of you heard the story about the three neighbors who died and went to heaven and met St. Peter at the gate. And St. Peter said to the first one, "What did you do on earth?" And she said, "I was a doctor. I cured the sick all my life." And St. Peter said, "Well, come on in to heaven." And he asked the second one, "What did you do on earth?" And he said, "I was a teacher. I taught children all my life." St. Peter said, "Well, by all means, come on in to heaven." He asked the third one, "What did you do on earth?" And the third one hesitated and looked a little sheepish and finally looked up and said, "I ran an HMO." So St. Peter hesitated and finally said, "Well, come on in, but you can only stay 3 days." That's what they've been doing to us. And we're not going to take it anymore. Because this patient's Bill of Rights is overdue. Now, let me say this too. The Republicans know that they are on the wrong side of these issues, and that's why they're trying to blow the roof off the campaign finance business and try to buy their way past all these positions they've taken that are against the views of the people. They're kind of whistling past the graveyard a little bit. If you ask them, you know, how they're going to explain themselves, they say they feel fine, but it kind of reminds me of another story. I'll make this the last story I tell you. I heard this story 22 years ago on the Grand Ole Opry. Any country music fans here? A few? Cousin Minnie Pearl told this story one Saturday night. It's about a farmer who was involved in an accident. And the lawyer for the person driving the other vehicle got this farmer on the witness stand. The farmer sued for damages. The lawyer for the other driver got him on the witness stand and said, "Now, isn't it true that right after this accident you said, 'I feel fine'?" And the farmer said, "Well, it's not that simple. You see, I was taking my cow to town in the back of my truck, and this fella came driving across the center line." And the lawyer said, "Wait a minute. We're in the middle of a trial here. Just answer the question yes or no. We don't want to hear a long, involved story." Not say, after the accident, "I feel fine." And the farmer leaned back and he said, "Well, I was leading up to that. You see, I was taking my cow to town in the back of my truck. This fella came driving across the center line and ran right smack dab in my truck and knocked it over. Threw me out, threw the cow out. I was on one side, the cow was on the other. Highway patrolman came up and took one look at that cow and said, she is suffering." Pulled out his gun and shot her right between the eyes. Came around to my side of the truck and said, "How do you feel?" So I said, "I feel fine." That's how those Republicans are feeling today. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one position in the Constitution filled by someone with the responsibility to fight for all of the people. Not just one district, not just one state, not just the wealthy and the powerful and the special interests, but all the people, including the children, including the elderly, including the disabled. We have to fight past the barriers of prejudice and discrimination and become one people. We don't have time for hatred or prejudice anymore. Just look at this room. We're going to come together. A president who is willing to fight for you can make a difference for you. For 23 years, I have been unafraid to take on the special interests, whatever they are, however powerful they are. I'm telling you, as I've gone through this crowd, Jimmy and others have pointed out this one and that one. You come up and it reminded me of our ties from years past, who you represent, the communities that you're speaking for, the families that you care about. It's you I want to fight for. And I want you to know that you have a direct connection to me. I will always remember being here in Euclid. I'll always remember Cuyahoga County. I'll always be here in Cuyahoga County, fighting for you, fighting for Ohio.